Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the International Forum of Crossing the Border, the power of design creativity for brand strategy. This forum is hosted by Department of Commerce, Ministry of Economic Affairs, MOA, and executed by China Productivity Center, CPC. I'm your MC today. My name is Evan. In order to conform to the international consumer market, brands need more focus on strategy layout and building the brand awareness from localization to globalization and vice versa. In addition to business behavior, governments also aware the importance of brand value of local and public service. It's full of difficulty. Always say the boundary on conveying the brand spirit, including the issue of race, age, culture, industry, or even the COVID-19. In this forum, we specially invite the brand strategy designers and experts to share and discuss the power of design and try to work together to find out a solution beyond the boundaries to spread the spirit and value of the brand. The goal is to make design the synonym of beautiful life with value-driven design on business. We are going to enjoy 3 keynotes and 1 panel discussion. We have the speakers from the Netherlands, India, and Japan sharing 3 different topics. First, no story, no brands. Second, global local brands. The third one is talking about making the most of graphics profession, expand its realm, crossing borders. For the panel discussion, it's our great honor that invite Ms. Jennifer Tsai, Taiwan well-known designer, to be our moderator together with all of our speakers to be the panelists. We are looking forward to the chemistry that's going to happen during the whole forum. So ladies and gentlemen, at the very beginning today, here comes the welcome remarks. Please join me to welcome Ms. Wenling Su, the Director General of Department of Commerce, Ministry of Economic Affairs.
主持人来自荷兰 Lava Design 的 Wolbers 创办人，印度 Elephant Design 的 Miss Ashwini， 日本 MASUNAGA Design 的 Miss MASUNAGA， 还有各位贵宾、业界先进跟关心国内商业世纪发展的朋友们，大家好。今天非常高兴参加跨界传达设计创意与品牌策略国际趋势论坛，同时也欢迎设计界的朋友在线上共襄盛举。本人仅代表经济部商业司，线上最诚挚的欢迎之一。面对国际世界局势的一个快速改变，平面设计专业和品牌商业的需求样态也一直在改变。设计师和设计服务机构的努力与时俱进，跨越生活的新形态、新文化和新商业技术的一个障碍，借由设计的力量，形塑品牌的精神，传达品牌的信念与价值，跨界沟通，超越界限，驱动品牌的一个商业能量。这次论坛主要是为了要孕育我国设计人才的竞争能力。多年来，经济部商业司也持续办理台湾国际平面设计奖与国际趋势论坛等全球性的一个国际交流活动。今天的论坛，我们也非常高兴能够邀请到来自荷兰、印度还有日本的讲师来分享他们的宝贵经验，也让我们了解并学习国际设计师的设计思维与实务应用。远道而来的国际贵宾，除了在不同领域有卓越的贡献，同时也是这次竞赛的一个评审团。我们希望从跨越领域与国际界的观点出发，借由专家的设计案例分享、国际设计大师的交流对谈，鼓励国内设计师汲取各界的养分，审视设计界语言多元的应用的无限可能。除了提升商业价值，也能够透过创意设计让人们生活更加的美好，创造更多无限价值的使用经验，让设计的能量成为我们社会不可或缺的前进动能。 在全球化的产业发展浪潮下，设计是最能彰显国家内涵跟当地文化特色的媒介，也是带动产业与全球市场接轨的能量。个人期盼能够借由这场结合国内外各界精英共同参与的论坛，为台湾的设计产业注入更多新的契机。最后在此预祝论坛圆满成功，并祝各位先进贵宾身体健康，万事如意。谢谢大家。
Thank you for the great sharing. To start the forum, it's our great honor to invite a Taiwan well-known designer, Ms. Jennifer Tsai, the President and Creative Director of Proud Identity, to give us the opening remarks. Jennifer is the expert on product design, graphic design, and interior design. She has a stylish expertise in blending elements of Taiwan culture into her design works. She's also invited to be the international jury for many times, and also the prize winner of IF, Red Dot, and Panda Awards, and etc. With the knowledge of design strategy and cultural differences, Jennifer built a platform, GDS, with the design companies from Germany and the United States to practice the idea exchanging among design concept and branding. The GDS represent Global Design Source. So ladies and gentlemen, here comes Miss Jennifer Tsai.
Hello everyone, I'm Jennifer Tsai of Proud Identity at Taipei, Taiwan. I have been engaged in branding design for more than 30 years. Today I'm very honored to be the introductor and host of the International Trade Forum, Cross-Border Communication Design, Creativity and Brand Strategy by CPC. As a professional designer dedicated in brand shaping for life, we have been working with our customers in diversified industries, multicultural backgrounds, and different languages, creating business value and maintain competition for them through design from time to time. But in the ever-changing era, the internet has changed the way of people communicate. More and more communication platforms and various social media have shortened the distance between people. So the graphic design, not just for create the business interest, but also should abstract the cultural essence and concepts for tradition and make graphic design as an international language across races and regions to achieve a common understanding and integration with people of different lives and cultures, and also to create the beautiful assets and connection to the world. Therefore, I'm very happy to have the opportunity to meet outstanding brand designers from New Zealand, Japan, and India, and this branding design forum. I believe that through design exchanges from different cultures and social backgrounds, we have the same and seek difference. The coalition of seeking common ground between difference has created an extraordinary event. I'm looking forward to let us use the design language to build more exciting cultural exchanges in the future. Thank you very much.
Thank you for the great sharing. Next comes our first keynote speech. It's my great pleasure to introduce you our speaker, Mr. Hans Wolbers, the founder of Lava Design Amsterdam, Lava Design Beijing, and Lava Lava. Lava is a leading design agency in Dutch since 1990s and is awarded the European Design Agency of the Year in 2010. For Mr. Hans Wolbers himself, has honored with Art Director of the Year in 1999. Mr. Hans Wolbers is the member of AGI. He promoted design thinking of innovation, brand identity, and changed the approach of identity design radically. Now, please enjoy the keynote speech. No story, no brand.
Hello and good day. This is Hans Wolbers from Amsterdam, Holland, from Lava Design Agency. This is our studio in Amsterdam, and about 7 years ago we also started a studio in Beijing in China. And next to our studio also we have a lab in which we experiment with new ideas and new visual communication techniques. More about that later. Today I'm going to talk to you about brands, and we believe at Lava that if there is no story, there is no brand. In other words, a brand should have a story. Not a story that is just made up, but something real. A real story that can bring information across. In the next 20 minutes I'm going to show you 307 slides, which is a lot, which is about 3.9 seconds per slide. So you better be clear and stay connected. Okay, here we go. Lava. So what are we doing at the agency? And we have these discussions all the time. What exactly are we doing at Lava? Are we doing graphic design? Are we doing editorial design? Is it brand design what we do? Is it identity design? Is it interaction design? Communication design? Strategy? Visual storytelling? Experience design? All these words. And sometimes it makes me crazy, all these words, because literally maybe they all mean the same. So one day I was so frustrated about all the words that I put them all on top of each other and mixed them. And the only word that remains is sign. And actually that's what we do. We make signs. We make visual signs, basically, to tell a little story. So let's have a look at signs. What does a sign mean? If you study signs, you can see that a sign, like in traffic signs, is a very simple graphic story to explain something to someone. It's very good that these signs are being designed more or less the same in the whole world, so you don't get confused. So these signs have only one purpose: to tell a little story. In some countries they make it very confusing, like in Belgium. You know, too many signs telling too many different stories and you get confused. So when we create signs, we want to tell a story clearly. And I think we should understand what we do if we make visual communication. It's not just making things look beautiful, it's about making things ready to tell a little story. Like this. This maybe is a very good example. Toilets. This is 2 toilet signs, and they are totally clear, I guess, for everyone what they tell. The left one is for men and the right one is for women. Could this be designed more clean? Could this tell the story more simple? Maybe not. Or maybe yes. Maybe if we change the color to pink, we have the story even more clear using color. So toilet signs in the basic are signs that tell a story. Where to go? So I studied toilets a lot, and I've been collecting toilet signs around the world. And basically they all have the same concept. They want to point you out, they want to tell you where the toilet is. This one was in Iran, and you see that they do a lot on this information sign. Typography, a weird way of writing WC, which is upside down M. But basically the only information we need is the little picture of the man and the arrow. The rest of the information, the text, is actually not needed. So what I always do, I look at the men's sign and then I go to the women's sign to see what they do here. So the men's sign is this and the women's sign is this. Very interesting, because there is cultural differences. So in Iran they tell the story a little bit different than we do it maybe in my Western society. So looking ahead is that the concept is the same. It's like men and women, but the way to design it is different. So this one, men and women, was a drawing. This one is playing with playing cards, telling the same story, men, women, but with a little sense of humor, like he and she, with using the playing cards. Illustration could be a way to tell it, but the concept is the same, men, women. Graphic designers wants to make it look simple, so this was a more graphic sign, which is men, women. Very simple, same concept, different visual style. again, illustration, a sense of humor sometimes, but the concept is the same, telling a little story, men and women, so they add a sense of humor to it. And of course, you've got the new gender-neutral situations in which they came up with this solution. Sometimes when I come across toilets, I come across very crazy signs, like this one in Belgium. Take a good look. I hope you see the joke here. So looking at signs brings me every now and then into trouble. Let's look at this one. This one is saying toilet and a drawing, and it says in French, it says pour femme. So because of the text, I know it's for women. Pour femme means for women. So this toilet is pointing out the toilet for women. But take a look at the picture. Take a look at the graphic. Is that a clear story? So I went to the men one. So I think that the picture of the man is pretty clear. But looking again to the women's picture, what's going on here? Is that a hat? What's going on in her, in her things? And I was asking a local designer, and he said, well, actually what you see here is the curly hair of the women. You see what I do in my little video here. So it's the curly hair, but that's weird because this was from Morocco, and in Morocco they all have the headscarves, they don't have the curly hair. So it's a weird, maybe not too well designed graphic to tell the story. So you have to make it clear. Like this one is a clear one by a graphic designer. Very simple one, women and men. You see, very simple, very clear. Same concept, different visual style. So here is sometimes when it gets confusing. The visual on the right side is very clear. It says men. But why is there this VC? It should be WC, but why is it there? It's already clear that this is a toilet sign, right? So I went to the women's side and there's nothing on the women's door. Also strange. Then this one, what happened here? So this is obviously men, but there's a green bird. Why is there a green bird? Looking at the other one is a pink bird and the women's sign. What I think happened here is that the designer initially, this was in a cafe or restaurant, that the designer designed a green bird and a pink bird without the circle icons on top of it. And I think not many people visiting the pub were able to understand what is a green bird. Is that for men and women? Pink bird? So because it was not clear, I think the owner put the icons on top of it later to make the story clear. So if you tell something visually, make sure your audience will understand what you try to say. Again, doors, clear. Why you need typography, I don't know, because it's clear. You don't have to point out ladies there in typography because the sign is pretty clear. Also, the word gentleman not needed. The icon is clear enough. Why do you do two on a door? The one is clear. Why should you do an extra one? Crazy. As same here. Crazy. This one. How many times do you want to say man? This says man, man, man. It's 3 times telling the same story. Not needed. You can only do the icon much more clear. So how many times you want to say woman, 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 woman? Or even this one, man, 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 man. 5 times telling the same information. Not needed. 1 icon is enough. In 3D, really nice. The same concept telling the story. Men toilet, women's toilet, but now executed in a 3D way in stone or concrete. And then this happened. I was in China. I had a few beers, I must admit, in a pub. I wasn't not drunk, and I went to a toilet. Now, I'm a pretty tall man, almost 2 meters tall, and I went to the door, and there was this icon of, I think, a boy, but the word said small. Now, because I'm very tall, I went to the other door, and it has a girl, but it says big. That's weird, isn't it? Taking a look at the doors, then you see that the door that says big and the women is a smaller door. Then on the right, it says small and a man, but it's a wider door. I was totally confused, and I went for the right door because of the icon. You see, so if you add information too much, it gets more and more confusing. So lots of jokes. I'm collecting these. I'm working on a book. So one day, so if you see weird toilet signs, please send them to me. And one day, hopefully, I will publish the book. I've got already hundreds of these. All right. So sometimes people send me crazy feedback. This one from South Africa, rape towels. Or this one from China, which is quite interesting, right? Where's the heart? And sometimes you get signs that you don't understand. Like, for instance, what does this mean? Anyone can guess in the audience room. This one could be we have made a new ice cream. Do you want to taste it? Or interview? Please, can I interview you? But the real thing here is security check. And maybe the best way to see security check is the head of the right person, because it shows a little bit kind of the head of the official, right? But maybe not very clear designed. Why is there 2 dots on top? I don't know. So this one, what does it mean? Anyone, any idea? What does this mean? If I do this live in an audience, I interact with people, and sometimes someone from the audience says, well, this means don't spit at the baby, or something like that. Actually, it means no spitting. And what the designer did is they made an oval shape in order to make a corner of a floor and a wall, spitting in a corner. So what does this mean? I think this means no dog, right? Dog with a cross means no dog. But you see, if you look at the whole sign, it says no. So in total, it means no dogs, which means yes dogs, right? No dogs means yes dogs. So crazy sign, typography not needed, the graphic is enough. And sometimes I come across weird ones. This was in Korea, South Korea, and on a toilet, one of those electronic toilets with lots of buttons on the side. And what exactly would happen if you press on one of these buttons? It's a normal toilet, but why would I press on these? Is it a different amount of water? What is going to happen? I didn't touch it, I've got no clue. Weird information, no clear story. Okay, so visual communication is about telling your story very clearly in a visual way. And understanding what you do, understanding the cliché of an information can help a lot. So thinking about signs, I will talk a little bit about how we design our information when we do brand design. This first one that I'm going to share with you is a dynamic branding for Amsterdam City. Amsterdam City has a city brand that's called I Amsterdam. I Amsterdam. And it's used in the city. Maybe you've been in Amsterdam once, you see this big typography all in the street, and there's people around it to be photographed. The mayor of Amsterdam came to our studio and asked us, can you please make this identity more dynamic, more an identity that is for everyone, not only for tourists, but also for students, for investors, for long-time visitors, for young people, for old people, for everyone. And we decided to make this identity more rich and more diverse. And we made it into a movie that I'm going to show you now. See, this is a very simple concept to make the dynamic brand of Amsterdam a more diverse thing. Okay, next story. Moscow Design Museum. One day I was in Moscow, and I think the Russian history of design is amazing, what they've done. And I met someone there, and she said to me, do you know that Moscow does not have a design museum? And I was really amazed that with all the tradition of Russia, there was no museum of design. I mean, this is the history of their design. You probably have noticed this imagery from the 20s of the last century. Constructivism and all was a very typography-rich style those days. But all of this is not to be seen in a design museum. This also is Russian design, product design. This is Russian design, crystal glass cutting. AK-47 is Russian, it is design, it's world famous. I don't like it, of course, but it is Russian design as well. Now, the debate that we had at the studio is, what is design? And design is design art, like this painting of Malevich, the black square. Is it art or is it crafts? Craft is the making of things. What is design? Is it arts or is it crafts? Both Russian examples, arts, crafts. And I think the story is somewhere in the middle. Design is not art. It's maybe more than craft. It should be somewhere in between. You can have endless discussions on this, but to me, to us, design is in the middle between arts and crafts. So we decided to make this idea into an identity. We took the D, the Russian letter of D from design, and the Latin D of design, and like the Matryoshka puppets, we decided to put it one in each other, like the puppets of the crafts, remember? So we thought it would be nice to have a reference to Russian crafts and to the art of Malevich, the black square, to have the D's here. There's a little story in here, and we thought it would be nice. So we made the identity, we designed some posters, and the plan was to make it a mobile design agency. A mobile because real estate property was really expensive, and this young group of people who would start a design museum would start a design museum in a bus that would travel throughout the city, do pop-up exhibitions here and there, and this could be a parking sign for an announcement. Okay, so this is what we designed, and the client didn't like it at all. So we went back to the drawing board to think again, and we thought, okay, what can we do with design that everybody understands? And we did some research, and we realized that everybody in Moscow has this in their house. This is Russian glass cutting, and the glass cutting pattern is a mathematical pattern. It's called the Moscow pattern. And this is a typical gift that you get from your parents if you get married, or if you're going to live on your own. You get a glass or a cup or a bowl, and many people have it. It's Russian design, and it's in almost every household. So we thought it would be good to use this as a starting point. So we took a look at the mathematical structure, and we decided that the structure could be simplified, the glass cutting structure, and we made black and white icons to make the identity based on the glass cutting symbols. Very simple black and white identity, Moscow Design Museum. So it's coming from a reference that people understand the glass cutting symbols, and that all together made the identity. Now, this was all fake, and this was all being produced by us to gain money, to get published the whole idea of the setup of the Moscow Design Museum. So all this design was Photoshop, and we got lots of attention. People saw it, it went in the media, it went online. This was a concept for the bus, a mobile bus, and we photoshopped a bus like this, and then we made the film. So promotional film, we did a promotion event to make a press conference, an announcement that we were going to set up this new concept for a new mobile design museum in Moscow. Website, everything we did, and the announcement was there. This was the founder, she was really happy. And then everything went really wild. It went online. I had a talk in Design Museum in London. They published about it. It went online, Twitter. Everybody was talking about the Moscow Design Museum. And in 2 months' time, we had about 500,000 followers of the whole concept. Many news items. So after 2 months, when you Google Moscow Design Museum, there was 14 million results. Very, very, very fast. And there was not even a museum. That was just an idea and just a few Photoshop images that we made. But because of this, the result was that a rich man in Moscow said, I'm going to give you a bus. And we were really happy. We went to see the bus, and actually this was the bus he was giving to us. But we made a design for it, now the real design. We cleaned the bus. He helped us to renovate the bus, painted the whole bus, cleaned everything. And then in the end, this was the bus that we had. This was the starting point. So this is no Photoshop anymore. This is the real Moscow Design Museum bus. So you can see what the power of a good story, what the power of some good design can do to actually gain the sponsorship and to gain all the results to be able to really start the museum. I was really proud to be part of the founding of the Moscow Design Museum. And it's still popping up exhibitions throughout the year, all places. And they use the identity themselves in very different ways. This was in an old building where they did some exhibitions and they used the graphics on the wall. Very simple. On the left you see signing they made on the floors with the same symbols to guide people to find pop-up exhibition galleries. And this guy was really happy with a small bus. And we made cakes and everything else. All right, so next project we did in Russia. It was actually a project we did for the Foreign Ministry of Holland, because we had a celebration year. Holland has a long history with Russia, cultural history with Russia, and there was a celebration year in 2013 to celebrate the Russia-Holland cultural friendship. Now, if you are making a visual design that should work in Holland and should also work in Russia, it would be good to find a common story, to find a story that is known in both countries. And we did some research and we were looking at the flags of our country. This is the Dutch flag, and we looked at the Russian one, and this is the Russian flag, the three same colors, red, white and blue. And so we were thinking, what exactly happened here? What is the story of these flags? And that story goes back to Alexander the Great. This was the great Tsar of Russia, 17th century. And this man went one day to Holland to incognito to study boat building. Holland was famous those days for boat building, shipbuilding, and he studied shipbuilding in Holland. He saw the flag, the Dutch flag, and he loved it. He loved the flag. So he took it back home. He took a pair of scissors, and what he did, he cut the Dutch flag and changed it into a Russian flag. So it was cutting and repasting. This is a real true story. It's known in both countries. So we took this story as the basic starting point for the whole identity. Cutting, repasting, and we used the cutting and repasting of the flag in everything we did. So very simple idea, very known by people, recognizable, and graphically you can do almost everything with it. Typography, anything is possible. Simple idea, simple story, and then the rich possibilities. The cutting and repasting also we used in the imagery, like you see here. So you see how it works as a visual identity. Okay, I'm moving a bit fast because I'm running out of time, I guess. And Minister Putin was pretty happy, like our Prime Minister was also pretty happy with the celebration year at that time. This was a pen we designed, and actually what we really wanted to have is, of course, our design painted on a rocket, but that was not allowed by the Russian Ministry of Space, which is a pity. So then we did a visual experiment when we started in China. When we started in China as a design agency, we didn't know anything about the Chinese culture, and we wanted to learn about the Chinese culture. We are not familiar with the Chinese characters like you do in Taiwan, and we thought, let's learn about it because it's their visual language. So for the Beijing Design Week, we decided to make a mobile design agency to make connection with people and go out on the street. So we didn't go to a conference, we didn't do talks, we just wanted to go out on the streets and to offer local entrepreneurs a free logo. Why? This is totally unknown for us in our culture, and this is typography in China, which is based on drawings. And when you look in the streets, probably also around in Taiwan, when you look in the streets, you see very many typography styles popping up. Not many visual styles, though. So we decided to buy one of these cars. We changed it, pimped it with our logo, Mobile Design Agency, and we decided with our team to go out in the streets during the festival week and to set up a small agency on the street. It was nice weather, and we asked people, well, would you like to have a visual logo? So this way, by telling stories and they telling stories to us, we could listen to them and understand their way of thinking and making identity. So we made it on the spot, and it was really nice. We met people, we make friends, we drove around in town, and this is actually what happens.
My name is Celine Lamé and I'm a graphic designer from Amsterdam Lava. Sanlunche which we bought secondhand and we pimped with our mobile design agency sign on it. And with this, we drive through the super narrow streets here to find the locals who want the logo. When we walked around here first, we saw that almost nobody has a logo. Meeting people here, it's always, oh, there's one restaurant at the corner behind the toilets or something like this. And we thought maybe it could be nice to give them a logo and for them also to think about what their logo would look like. So there's some choices they can fill out. This and talking to them is my briefing to get started. So he's from Dongbei and his restaurant's called Dongbei Village. It's all about very healthy food in big portions, very generous, homemade feel. So I'm gonna go with this and also this guy, you know, with all the tattoos and very masculine and big. So maybe it would be nice to do something in a sort of tattoo kind of style. And we finish it also on the spot. So when it's finished, we give them a USB immediately with PDF, all the files on it. As a designer, you always try to make something that people are happy with and they're proud of and want to use. So it would be awesome if one of them would really put up the logo outside their business and really use it, you know, like, yeah, so it's not just for my fun, but it's also helping their business.
So you see, it was big fun for us to do, and we learned a lot of things about Chinese culture, about Chinese way of visual thinking, and we listened to the stories of people and made very, very simple graphics, giving back to them. So this is a few examples of the works that we did. And you know, with design, you can make friends, you can make people laugh, you can make people happy. And to end off my talk, back to toilets, is that one day I was in South Korea again and I saw a brand on a toilet and the brand was a polar bear. What is the story here, I guess? Why is the brand for a toilet a polar bear? I didn't understand at all. And I was asking a local Seoul designer and he said to me, well, the polar bear in South Korea is being seen as a white bear, which is very friendly, it's very cuddly, it's really nice, you want to embrace it, it's very clean. That's the reason that they use this as a logo. In my view, a polar bear is a very dangerous animal. So I explained them, when you see a real polar bear, never ever go sit on one like you do on your toilets. Okay, this was my story. Thank you for listening, and I hope that you in your design work and branding work will think about creating little stories that people embrace, that people love and that people like. The better they like the stories, the better they like the brand. Thank you very much.
Thank you for the great sharing. Next, I'm really excited to introduce you Ms. Ashwini Deshpandet, the co-founder of Elephant Design, the leading strategy design consultancy in India. She has the expertise in branding and communication design and also has been featured in the top 50 the most influential women in media, marketing, advertising on Impact magazine for 6 years. So ladies and gentlemen, now today her sharing is global local brand. Here comes Ms. Ashwini Deshpandet.
Hello everyone. So happy to be speaking to all of you. And first of all, my big thank you to the organizers of DIGDA and also, of course, all of you who are listening right now. So my topic today is really about global local, and I will just come to what it means in a moment. And I think all of us have certain understanding of what a global brand is and what a local brand is. And a lot of times these two meet and some magic happens. And that's really what I'm going to speak about today. But before I do that, I want to tell you a little bit about what my local is, which means where do I come from. And I firmly believe that if all of us have to move freely in the world and become global citizens and, you know, global designers, global brand makers, or just good global people, we need to have our roots firmly understood. So to move freely, one must be rooted, and that's really my strong belief. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about what my roots are. Where do I come from? So I'm sure all of us have this one very embarrassing photograph from childhood, which we don't want to share with anybody. But here I am, I'm sharing my photograph from childhood with you. Little embarrassing, but hey, all of us have been there. So that's me on the extreme left, short hair. And that's my family, my sister and my parents. And I grew up in a very small town in India, in a state called Maharashtra. And the town was called Aurangabad. A very small town in the late 60s and early 70s when I was growing up there. And my entire world was from home to my school, which, as you can see, I've mapped it now on the map, Google Map, which didn't exist then, was barely 15 minutes walk. And that's really how my exposure was. My world was very, very small. I remember at that time in my city, we did not have television. Of course, television was not popular in those days in the 60s and 70s yet. And we barely even had any movie halls. So my exposure to the world was limited to books. And books I got in abundance. My parents always bought us books when we did something good. So if we got good marks in school, we always got books as gifts. And that is all my exposure was. I used to love reading all kinds of things, from fiction to quizzes to biographies, everything. And I would just lap it up and read. So that's where it all began. The way our upbringing was, my parents always encouraged us to do whatever it is that we wanted to do, and not necessarily what conventionally everybody was doing, which in those days, the good professions to follow were either engineering or medicine, which is either you become an engineer or you become a doctor if you were a good student. But my parents did not pressurize us to do that. They said, you follow your passion, do what you wanted to do. This was my school. And again, in the late 60s, early 70s, schools did not have any concept, especially in the small towns, of guiding their students as to what profession they should take up or what further education they should do. Though my school actually taught us very good values. A value system is very important. It lasts you the entire lifetime if your values are in place. And that is what my school did, my teachers did. But they did not really help me much in what to choose for my further education. But I'm very grateful to my school even for that. And then came a phase in my life where I got to go to design school. Again, in the early 80s, there were very few design schools in our country, in India. There were just two of national level. And getting admission into those was very tough. But I did not know that because I was from a small town and I did not know how tough it was. So ignorance was bliss, and I just managed to get myself into that school in another city, in another state, far away from my house. And for the first time, I stepped out. And what I really learned at design school is how to learn. You know, interestingly, at our design school, we never used to be compared with anybody else. We always were compared with ourselves. So how was I in the last semester or last year, and how am I doing now? That was the only comparison, which means you don't learn for marks or grades or exams or any such thing. You learn because you really want to know, because you really want to understand how things are. You want to increase your knowledge. You want to explore and read and experiment so that you become better at what you were. And I believe learning to learn is the best skill to acquire. And that's really what I got at my design school, which is National Institute of Design in a city called Ahmedabad. So this was my school, the National Institute of Design in a city called Ahmedabad. Ahmedabad is a heritage city, and it is full of culture, craft, and some amazing kind of people and food and history and heritage. And all of that was some amazing bonus learning for us, because it wasn't just the institute, but it was whatever was happening around in the city was also learning. So this is the place that actually changed my life. This is the place that taught me how to learn. And I think that's something that I took back with me forever. So learning to learn is something very, very important, and all of us must take that back with us. At the end of the design school, what I really understood was that design is a team game. Design is not a solo game, which means you need some fantastic players to play this game along with you. That is the only way to winning something. And so few of us friends gathered together and decided that we should start a multidisciplinary design company, design consultancy in India. Interestingly, in the late 80s, India did not have any large organized design companies. And so we were going to be that company which India did not have at that time. And we said, that's going to be our team game. And the story behind our team and our game or our philosophy was something like this, which again came from the ancient Indian story, a very rooted story from Indian region, which is of elephant and blind people. So long ago, there was an elephant passing by from a village, and there were 5 blind people, and they were curious. So they wanted to know what an elephant is. So each of them walked up to the elephant and touched a part of it and came back very wise. So the one who touched the back said, elephant is like a wall. The one who touched the leg said, no, it's like a tree trunk. The one who touched the tail said, no, it's like a rope. And all of them started fighting. And then came somebody who was passing by who could see what an elephant is. And he said, you know what? All of you are right. Nobody is wrong. All you need to do is put your pieces together to see the big picture. And we said that is exactly what our philosophy is going to be. As a team, all of us will bring in our shiny piece of jigsaw puzzle, and we will put all those pieces together, and we will make the big picture of Indian design. And that's really how Elephant Design was born in 1989. And that's what I do even today, after 32 years. Every day is exciting as a designer. And because our roots are so much into our authentic stories and into how we were born and how we were brought up and how our culture is, my fascinating subject always is what happens when global brands come to a culture and how do they adopt themselves. And that's precisely what I'm going to be speaking. By the way, that's some of my lovely team members, and each of us, like I said, brings in our jigsaw puzzle and makes the big picture of Indian design. So, like I said earlier, my interest lies in what happens locally when a big global brand steps into a culture and discovers various trends within that culture. And therefore, I believe local is the new black. Local is the way for everybody, whether you are a local brand or a global brand. If you want to understand people, go close to them, solve their real problems, and fill some need gaps as a brand, then local is the new black. And that's why I'm going to share some of the examples that I'm seeing around me as we speak. What is global local and how does it impact brands? And let me give you some examples. So in my observations around cultures around the world, whatever I've had my opportunity to do so, is that no matter what else would change, but birth rituals, weddings, and death rituals, they don't change much. No matter what happens, how modern or Western or global or multicultural we become, these 3 rituals don't change much because people like to go back to their roots and their culture and celebrate each of these things in their own ways. So I'm going to look at just one aspect. I just picked random pictures of brides from 3 different regions in the world. And as you can see, they all, of course, brides, and they're very happy and, of course, looking forward to what's going to happen in their life. But if you look at their attires and their jewelry, it's very, very, very different. One from the other is as different as it can be. So each of us, like I said, the birth, the wedding, and the death rituals, we have actually kept going back to our roots, actually kept going back. You know, this lady in the middle, the Indian bride, I don't think she dresses like this every day. She dresses probably like me every day. But on the wedding day, she will be as traditional and cultural as she could be, right? And so is true about various other things around weddings or birth or death. One of the things in Indian weddings is an interesting ornament. Just the way the world has wedding rings or engagement rings, in India, there is a wedding necklace. This is various types of wedding necklaces, traditional ones from various communities. And they are called Mangal Sutra. Mangal means auspicious, well-being, and Sutra means something that threads it through. So this is supposed to be a necklace that gives you your well-being, basically. It gives you blessings. And all the brides in a traditional community kind of wedding would be given this by their husbands. This is the wedding gift or wedding ornament that's given. Now, this is very, very Indian, right? I think most of you probably don't even know about it or did not even know about it till I told you. But not so much for the big brands in the world. So there are some big global luxury brands in the world that have been selling jewelry around the world. Whether they are selling it in your country or our country, they have been around and they are observing. They are seeing what's going on and they are trying to pick something from the local cultures. So very recently, what did we see in India? A big brand like Bulgari actually has introduced Mangal Sutra range, and they have used a brand ambassador who's Miss World, is from India and is now an actress and a celebrity in the US. Or actually, she's a global celebrity now because she's actually appearing across multiple global projects. So a big global brand that eventually realized that they needed to do something local so that in India, they could actually establish themselves very, very firmly. This is just one example of a global luxury brand doing something very local. Let's take another example, Hermès, the luxury brand that is very well known for their silk scarves around the world. And they have this beautiful range, which is falling in love with India or something like that. And they again have come to India, picked what is the local nuance, picked what are the local patterns and colors, and have come out with an entire range. So are only luxury brands doing that? Are only global luxury brands coming to various countries and cultures and doing something which is local? Not really. Let me give you an example of a high street brand called H&M. I suppose all of you have heard of this brand. Very recently in India, they actually collaborated with a very well-known Indian designer called Sabyasachi. And they came out with a range of saris. Sari, which is a very, very Indian drape, Indian cloth or drape, which was, adopted by H&M. Kind of unheard of earlier, but here they are. So I won't be surprised if H&M goes to various countries and cultures and picks a very local fabric or garment or drape and picks a local designer and comes out with some range. And this range, when it went online, I believe it was over in 2.5 minutes. So people were lapping this up so eagerly. So it's not just luxury brands who are doing global to local, but even high street brands are doing that. And are only fashion brands doing that? Not really. KitKat does that around the world. So what you see on the left-hand side is actually called Tokyo Banana. So it's a banana flavor that they have gone and done in Japan. What you see in the middle is milk tea flavor, which they have done in Thailand. And what you see on the right side, which is green tea, matcha tea, which again they started doing in Japan and they're actually selling it around the world now because that flavor is catching up. So many global brands which go with exceedingly large brand equity and presence and products into a culture which is very rooted. They're very quick to pick that up and they're very quick to understand that as a brand, if we want to have roots in this country or this culture, we must do something that is appealing to that culture and we must go local. One more brand, a very strange example. So this is KFC, which is Kentucky Fried Chicken, right? Its basic core product range is chicken, which is non-vegetarian. And in India, there are many communities which don't eat non-vegetarian food. They only eat vegetarian food. So when KFC came to India and after a few years, they realized that there are many people in a group of friends who come to KFC, they are vegetarian. So their friends, while they are enjoying the chicken, the vegetarian friends are not eating anything. Or sometimes the vegetarian ones are not even stepping inside because they don't want to eat non-vegetarian food. So KFC, which has the very core of non-veg, which is chicken, has actually gone vegetarian in India. So they actually have an entire range which is vegetarian. So, and going forward, they have in fact used that range in many other countries now because there is veganism which is on the rise. So global brands looking at popular culture, looking at local communities and seeing what they need and trying to bring it in the form that they want, right? So that's the way a good global brand would behave, right? Another global brand, which is Coca-Cola. Again, Coca-Cola goes to various cultures and countries and tries to bring out a product that people like. So for example, the one in the middle is Coca-Cola with fiber. And again, Japan. I think Japanese really have a way of staying rooted in their food culture. So literally, they must be demanding these global brands to bring out something specifically for them. Or another one, which is a ginger variant. Again, very local ingredients in many of the Asian countries. And I suppose that's what got Coca-Cola to bring in Coca-Cola ginger into these countries. So my point really is that if you are a global brand or a local brand, doesn't matter. What you really need to understand is what is it that communities, people, culture accept very easily, and what is it that your brand can do for them. We are surrounded by brands, right? From morning toothpaste to moisturizer at night, we are making choices of brands all the time. But within that choice, when we try and pick a brand, if you understand that that brand is trying to do something for you specifically, and is not just selling you something that they do globally, but they understand your local need, your cultural need, you would definitely choose that brand, right? So as brand designers, we have to be very, very conscious of this. And brands with stories always taste better. And I work with tons of food brands, and that's really why I'm going to just share one little story of a beverage brand that we created and are going on creating. So this is, as I understand, I've had the good fortune and opportunity to visit Taiwan a couple of times. I believe the bubble tea or the boba tea is very, very famous and very popular across all age groups. And I also saw some other local drinks like barley water or sugarcane juice and so on, which are very local drinks. And no big brands are making them, but they are so popular and they are being sold by tons of places, very local flavors. Similarly, in Asia or in any other part of the world, any other country, culture, there are very local drinks which are favorites. So for example, in India, we have a variety of drinks that are made from local ingredients, local taste, local flavor, and they are seasonal. So they're actually good to consume in a particular season, and therefore they are available that time. And you know what? These are local favorites. They used to be made by the grandmothers and grand aunts and moms and so on. But now nobody has the time, nobody has access to those ingredients, and nobody knows the recipes. But we still love those flavors. We still love those drinks. So here is a brand that we created using what we used to love as children as a nostalgia. A drink that brings back memories of what grandmothers, grand aunts, mothers used to make for us. And we said, what could be the name of this drink? And so we started thinking of what did we love doing as children when life was simple and why life was delightful and life was joyous. And these were simple games like hopscotch or skipping or launching paper planes or launching paper boats in the puddle right next to our homes. And so we named this drink Paper Boat. And what did it do for us? I mean, this kind of a memory is actually emotional, but it is culture agnostic. I could go to Turkey and look at local favorites and bring out a range in Turkey. And I could probably go to Thailand and bring out local favorites because childhood memories are universal. And therefore, that's how this brand was built. And that is the whole range, the packaging. When life was simple and things are sweet, simple, delightful, and again, still culturally relevant because all the drinks names are exactly how they are called in the local lingo. So that's really a brand that we created where we believe that it evokes an emotion. If a brand is based on emotion, it can easily adapt to any context or culture. So this is really what I want to sum up finally. I want to say that anytime as a designer or as a brand designer, if we are creating a brand, we should begin first with the culture and the context. And we should try and build that brand based on emotions so that whether it's a local brand or a global brand, it can actually easily adopt to anything around it and become a big brand. And that's what we all want to do, right? So what will be your local idea for a global brand? Think about this when you have a chance after this talk. What will that be? Do you have a local idea that actually a global brand could adopt or could actually launch in your culture or community? Think about it. That is what I had today. Thank you so much. And you can reach me on ashwini@elephantdesign.com and have a great day ahead. Thank you.
Thank you for the great sharing. Next, I'm going to introduce you Ms. ASUNAGA AKIKO, the founder of ASUNAGA Design. She takes the elements of graphic, space, and package to develop the solution for branding. Moreover, she held a lot of exhibitions, workshops, and lectures related to education, community, and social concerns. She's also the prize winner of many important international competitions, such as Tokyo Art Directors Clubs, International Poster Biennial in Warsaw, International Biennial of Graphic Design Brno, and etc. So ladies and gentlemen, now please enjoy the sharing of making the most of graphics profession, expand its realm, cross borders.
こんにちは。日本のグラフィックデザイナーのMASUNAGAです。JAGDA の方から派遣して今回、審査員も務めさせていただきました。で、私はJAGDA に、所属して約15年ほどになります。で、現在、地産デザイン委員会という委員長も務めています。昨今のグラフィックデザインは、既成概念や境界にとらわれない多様な活動が増えてきています。経済圏の小さな地域ほどその活動が多く見られ、従来の受注関係だけではなく、地域とデザイナーがその地域の特色を生かして良好な関係性を作り上げています。私のその地産デザイン会では、そんな彼らの動画を紹介する事業を現在進めており、今回の講演のテーマと合致しましたので、先駆けてこの場でご紹介したいと思います。まず、台湾の皆さんはもうよくご存知だと思うんですけど、日本の地域を紹介するので、日本の位置もちょっと一度おさらいをしておこうかなというふうに思います。台湾は私の住む大阪からは飛行機で3時間ほどの距離です。沖縄からだと1時間ほどの距離なんですが、この通り、台湾と同様日本は海に囲まれた島国です。およそ7000の島がある3分の2が森林の国です。日本の行政区分は、47に分かれています。台湾では日本の都道府県でいうと市に当たるんだと思うんですけれども、台北市とか高雄市とか、そのあたりでは台湾では9個あるんですよね。今回のご紹介したい事例は4つありまして、その4つの事例の地域をこちらからご紹介したいと思います。兵庫県、福島県、鳥取県、宮崎県になります。大体その地域の規模がどれぐらいの規模なのかなっていうのがちょっと分かりづらいかなと思いまして、人口とかで言ってもなかなか比較ができないのかもしれないので、今回はグラフィックデザイナーアワードということで、グラフィックデザイナーがJAGDA に所属している、人数でちょっと当てはめてみました。JAGDA は今会員数は全国で2963名のクリエイターデザイナーが所属しています。そのうちの約半分が東京1458人に対して、今回ご紹介する福島は14人、兵庫は72人、鳥取は7人、宮崎は13人という規模です。まず、一つ目の事例から入っていきたいと思うんですが、先ほどご紹介した一番大きい規模の兵庫県の、神戸市というところの事業をご説明したいと思います。神戸市役所のデザインリテラシーの向上を目指したグラフィックデザイナーの取り組みです。先ほどの日本地図の兵庫県からぐっと大きくしまして、神戸市はちょうど下の方に当たるんですけれども、日本は非常に細かく、行政が分かれています。兵庫県は41の市と町があるんですが、神戸市はそのうちの一つです。神戸市をここから簡単にご紹介したいと思います。 コロナ禍でなかなか旅行ができないので、少し旅行気分になると嬉しいです。神戸市は海に面していて、国際貿易港を中心に発展しました。ユネスコのデザイン都市に認定されてからデザインの取り組みは積極的な都市です。食べ物では神戸牛が有名でしょうか。市の景観もライトアップにも力を入れているので、夜景の美しさも日本の中では特徴的な街になっています。国際色が豊かで、中心街に中華街や山側には北の異人館があります。山と海に囲まれた立地なので、有馬温泉という温泉地も神戸市の中の一つです。で、昔からのこの日本酒作りも盛んな町です。今回のデザイナーです。天卓さんと言います。兵庫県の出身で、今は東京に住んでいらっしゃいます。JAGDA では新人賞を受賞された方です。神戸市ではクリエイティブディレクター制度というものを設けています。日本の中でも先駆けて2015年から設置した課題なんですが、神戸市の様々な課題をデザイナーとして、手を動かして、関わるのではなく、ディレクションやサポートを行って、週3回、3年間勤務するというものです。こちら公募制で、天卓さんの時は38名の申し込みがあり、見事2代目のクリエイティブディレクターに天卓さんは選ばれました。大体応募されるのはデザイナー、ディレクター、建築、プロダクトの、クリエイティブ系、または地域づくりのディレクター、大学の講師の方など様々な申し込みがあったようです。天卓さんは、市長や課長など決定権のある人にデザインの観点から客観的な意見を述べるような仕事なのかなというふうに思っていたんですが、実際は、入庁して1年目の方や外郭団体など市政に関わるすべての職員の方が対象だということを、とても開かれた現場として、とてもいい感触を持ったというふうに聞いています。で、市役所の中では、やはり今まで思い込んでいた既成概念がデザイナーの観点によって新たな気づきやアイデアが生まれ、職員のモチベーションにつながるということが多いです。まさにデザイナーによってその市のインナーブランディングが行われているということがこのプロジェクトの特徴だと思います。具体的に説明をしていくと、職員に対して情報整理のセミナーも行いました。行政の情報というのは、詰め込みすぎる傾向があり、情報整理はまさにデザイナーの職能を活かせます。何を強調するのか、まず何を伝えたいのか、情報の優先順位が立てられないことがとても多くて、言葉で視覚化するのか、ビジュアルで視覚化するのかもデザイナーがサポートしていきます。画面のバスの絵の、利用方法の、ものがとてもデザインの観点として、より分かりやすくした例だと思います。ビフォーのものを見ていただくで、アフターが、改良された点なんですけど、何が違うかというと、内容を変えずに色分けをするだけで情報整理ができたというところなんですね。案外こういうところも気づかないことが多いんですが、客観的なデザイナーの観点で、そういうところをサポートしていくということが、この一つのいい例だと思います。また難しいシステムを説明することも、キャラクターを使って視覚化することで、子供にも伝えることができます。天卓さんが印象に残った事例を2つ紹介します。1つ目は里親制度というものです。里親というのは何らかの事情で親と住めなくなった子どもたちを別の家族が家族として受け入れてもらうというセンシティブな制度です。なかなかこのセンシティブな制度なので、複数の担当者が関わるわけですが、チームとして見出した方向性にそれぞれがどう動くべきか、どう担当者が考えるかということを天卓さんは場を作ったということが一番重要だった役割だったと言います。 結果、少し緩いキャラクターが生み出されて、今まで紙媒体でしかなかった展開がアニメーションにまで展開して、反響が大きくて周知に成功したという例です。ちなみになぜ里芋がキャラクターになっているかというと、里芋は野菜ですね。台湾の皆さんは知らないでしょうか。里芋っていうのはこの一株から親株、子株、孫株っていうのができる里芋の習性を比喩した、キャラクターになっています。2つ目は働き方改革です。日本では土日も平日も働き蜂のように働いているっていうふうに世界から見られているかもしれませんが、実際まだそういうところもあるんですけれども、徐々に働き方というのを見直すっていうのが国全体で進んでいます。その中でもこの事例では市役所の職員たちが自ら自分たちで働き方改革っていうことをどういうふうに職員に伝えていこうかということをポスターにしたっていう事例なんですけれども、割とゲリラ的に作って、ゲリラ的にこの市役所の中で張ってやろうみたいな、そういう動きで進めていたプロジェクトだったんですけれども、やはりちょっと途中でやっぱりボツになってしまったんですが、天卓さんはこのボツになってしまったけれども、この面白がって企画に参加する柔軟な職員がいることとか、この独自の働き方を工夫されている方がたくさんいるっていうことが知れたことが、とても貴重な経験になったと言います。まとめです。神戸市役所のクリエイティブディレクター制度が、グラフィックデザインの職能がどう生かされたのかというところなんですが、やはり一番デザイナーが手を動かす前に、クライアントから現状と問題点を聞き出すヒアリング能力と、ヒアリングの後の調査、観察、整理の職能が生かされて、職員のサポートにつながっていったということが一番重要なところだと思います。基本行政というのは文章でやり取りすることがとても多くって、ちょっとした図や表とか表で、視覚化することで、職員内の認識の共有スピードも上がるということもデザイナーの職能が役立っています。行政特有の固い言い回しや文章だらけのビジュアル、自慢になりがちな広報、他の自治体との不毛な数字比較っていうのが、いかに市民、ユーザーの視点で見たときに、いかに必要ないかということも新たな気づきをもたらせたことも重要なポイントだと思います。はい、次は2つ目の事例で、小さな村のブランディングのお話です。宮崎県の中では市町村が26あるんですけれども、その中の椎葉村というところが今回の、プロジェクトの場所で、村です。椎葉村は、この赤い位置にあるんですが、この延岡シティっていうところですね。延岡市はデザイナーが住んでいるところなんですけれども、この距離だけでも車で2時間から2時間半ぐらいかかってしまうような、そんな位置づけになっています。椎葉村は本当に、人口も2500人ぐらいという規模で、とても小さな村に思いがちなんですが、総面積としては非常に大きくって、96% が山林というような場所です。このように傾斜の棚田の風景というのは、マチュピチュに例えられて観光資源になっているようなところです。朝方には雲海が漂うような日本の三大秘境とも言われているような村でもあって、昔に内戦で負けた武士が逃げてたどり着いた場所としても独特の歴史と文化がある村です。はい。で、今回のデザイナーの小野さんです。小野さんは先ほど紹介した延岡市っていうところに、お生まれになって、今もそちらで、デザイン会社を経営されています。村からの依頼が、小野さんの方にあったわけですが、そもそもその村の課題というのが何かというと、大きく3つで言えば、村の魅力を伝えるということ、人口を増やすということ、あと農林業の6次産業化ということが 背景として課題がありました。その課題がある中で、小野さんの方に村の魅力を伝えるパンフレットを作ってほしいということがご依頼としてあったんですけれども、小野さんはその情報誌を起点に村の新たな魅力を伝える村のブランディングをやりませんかということを一緒に進めていったという話になります。小野さんはまずブランドのコンセプト、スローガン、ロゴを制作していくわけですが、これはデザイナーだったらわかると思うんですが、村の職員や住人、制作チームが同じ方向に向くための必要な重要な制作物となりました。オンリーワンシーバというところで、世界に一つだけのシーバというのが大きなスローガンとなっています。情報誌を作るために村の中や住民の方とかをどんどん取材していくんですが、そのうちにやっぱり観光資源以外の村の等身大の文化の魅力が見出されていきます。それを、素直に新たな観光資源、新たな魅力として、情報誌に盛り込んでいくことになっていくんですけれども、デザインもあまり過食をせずに素直に伝えるデザインとして世界を統一しています。ついつい行政は情報を詰め込む傾向があるんですが、村は小野さんを信頼し、注文はほとんどなかったため、小野さんの感じたこの世界観がそのまま守られて、むしろ行政らしくない仕上がりになり、反響が出てきたということになっています。民間事業者の商品開発、ブランディングにも着手しました。そば、豆乳プリン、そばの実のフロランタン、バターサンドなど、たくさんの食品を、パッケージデザインということを関わっていきました。村の交流拠点の施設が作られたんですけれども、その中に新設された図書館とともに、ロゴであったりとか、サイン計画、パンフレット、キャラクターデザインにも関わっていきます。小野さんと村のブランディングは2015年からスタートして今に至りますが、行政の業務というのは大体単年で終わってしまったり、担当者が転勤して、縮小したり、終了してしまうということは日本ではよくあることです。こういう状況の中で7年続いているのは非常に希少なことなんですね。で、去年からは情報誌の発信事業を引き継げる人材を育てるために、このパンフレットをきっかけにたくさん移住者がやってきたんですが、その移住者の方と地域おこし協力隊を結成して一緒に村の魅力を見出していくっていうことがこれからの大きなバトンタッチをしていくっていうところを今継続されて行われています。まとめです。村のブランディングにグラフィックデザインの職能がどのように生かされたかというところなんですが、同じ方向に向くための意識改革として、やはりロゴなどのデザインが非常に役に立ったということ。あと、観光資源以外の普段の生活から見出した魅力を、情報誌に表現していったということ。あと、情報誌やパッケージなどの制作物は、移住者の増加、販売数などで具体的な数字も効果が出ました。村の住人はその結果で意識が変化し、インナーブランディングにつながっていきました。あと、地域おこし協力隊と、取材、撮影を伝えて、住む人からリアリティな発信っていうことを切り替えていく。継続ができる仕組みも今整えていらっしゃいます。はい、次は3つ目なんですが、デザイナーが市のマニフェストを作るという事業です。まず、鳥取県という場所で行われた事業なんですが、鳥取県の中の鳥取市です。鳥取県は19の市町村で、組成されていますが、鳥取県自体がですね、日本の都道府県の中で人口が一番最も少ない県です。人口密度は東京の40分の1と言われています。はい。 鳥取市なんですが、鳥取市は、この鳥取砂丘っていうのがもう最大の観光資源になっています。日本でも最大の砂丘がある場所なんですね。あと、この自然がすごくとても豊かなので、流れ星が見えやすくて、日本一の星空としても県を挙げてアピールをしています。山から見た海までの様子ですね。で、鳥取砂丘の砂の美術館は、右上の方ですね、海外からアーティストを滞在させて数ヶ月かけて砂で作り上げていく砂の彫刻が美術館の特色になっています。あとは、やはりこの稲葉の白うさぎという神話の舞台になった海岸や傘を使ったシャンシャン祭りなどが行われています。デザイナーは足立さんと言います。足立さんは、鳥取県の出身で、鳥取市でデザイン会社を営まれています。私のこのJAGDAの地産デザインの副委員長も務めてくださっています。どうしてじゃあ足立さんが市のマニフェストを作るっていうことになったのかということなんですが、今2代目の市長なんですけれども、前の市長と同級生であり、以前から意見を求められたり提案する関係性だったといいます。そこから本格的にマニフェストを作るということに取り掛かっていくことになりました。市長は今までの選挙慣れした発想やビジョンにとらわれない新しい切り口で挑みたいというのがリクエストのもと、足立さんは各部署や市民に対面でマーケティングリサーチをしてマニフェストを完成させて見事当選しました。現在は2人目の市長に変わりましたが、その当時のビジョンは引き継がれており、マニフェストは 90% 実行、10% が継続ということです。日本の選挙の様子っていうのはちょっと独特なので、画像でちょっとお伝えしたかったんですが、人格権、著作権の問題があるので、ちょっとイラストを探して、視覚化してみました。この中でもやはりこの真ん中のパネルっていうのはすごく独特で、選挙が始まると街の公園とかにドドドンとこういうパネルが急に張り出されるような状況が日本にはあります。足立さんは選挙に関するマニフェスト作り以外にも視覚化に関しては全て関わっていらっしゃっていて、ここでお見せできるのはこの現市長のポスターであったりとか選挙カー、あとマニフェスト、このあたりは全て足立さんの方で制作されています。で、マニフェスト以外にもあらゆるスピーチ原稿も作成したということを聞いています。いただいたデータもたくさんのデータが、原稿のデータをいただきました。そのマニフェストの一つで、市の特産物を日本全国販売をするっていうことがあったんですけど、このプロジェクトが、一番市民との近い関係性にあって手応えも感じたということなので、ちょっとこの事例を載せてみました。想像以上に現場の声がたくさん聞けて、具体的な実証事例に結びついていったということなんですけれども、当初売上が1億円、新店舗150っていうことが目標にしていったんですが、2年目、3年目、4年目と着実に数字を重ねていって、5年目にはその当初の目標を達成したということです。まとめになります。足立さんは、プロデュース、ディレクション、コーディネート、マーケティング、デザイン制作など具体化するにはグラフィックデザイナーが最適だっておっしゃるんですね。特にマニフェストを制作する上で、マーケティング分析は顕著に役立ったと言います。あとやっぱり行政の中よりも外だからこそデザイナーとして市民としての視点もリアリティのあるマニフェスト制作につながっていきます。熱量を持ったグラフィックデザイナーのこういう行政の登用は市政にとって有効な指導になると足立さんはこれからも期待しています。最後です。福祉を視覚化して拡張するというプロジェクトになります。はい。場所は福島県です。福島県は、 震災もあった、とても海側の近い地域ではあるんですけど、いわき市も同じ海側の方の、地域であります。福島県は59の市町村を抱えているんですけれども、いわき市は県庁所在市の福島市よりも一番大きくて、東北地方という東京よりも上の地方ですね、その地方の中でも2番目に人口が多いというちょっと特殊な市です。太平洋に面しているので、東北っていう地方なんですが、寒暖差が少なくて温暖な気候な場所です。その温暖な気候から東北のハワイとも言われているような場所です。東北らしい民芸の文化も垣間見られて、海と川の自然資源は観光資源につながっています。デザイナーは高木さんです。高木さんは私の先ほどの地産デザインのパートナー委員も務めてくださっています。彼は出身も現在の居住地も同じこのいわき市ですね。日本は65歳以上の高齢者の増加による高齢化の課題を抱えています。都心から離れれば離れるほどその課題は顕著です。いわき市も同様で3人に1人が高齢者という状況になっていて、生活、医療、介護の支援や予防など市は整備や周知が課題となっています。いわき市のその熱意のある市役所が担当者となり、その福祉の現場の方の実直な思いを知って、老、病、死をタブーにせずに明るく福祉を伝えるためのポスター制作を高木さんに依頼します。そこで、話を聞いているうちに、こういう人を呼ばないと難しいんじゃないかということで、どんどんチームが出来上がって、民間と、行政の合体のチームが出来上がりました。そんなその老、病、死をタブーにせずに明るく福祉を伝えるっていうもとで、取材を重ねていくと、この福祉の現場とか高齢者の声を聞いているうちに、ポスターよりも情報を伝えていくメディアが適切なんじゃないかということに判断ができてきました。そこで、出来上がったのが高木さんが名付けた移国というツールです。移国はいわき市の方言で動くという意味です。福祉を能動的に動いて伝えていくという思いが込められているんですが、この移国を読んでいわき市の介護や高齢者の福祉について知れた、自分のこととして考えるきっかけになったという幅広い世代の声が届くようになってきました。この情報誌のタイトルはとてもユニークです。やっぱ家で死にてえな、パパ死んだら嫌だよ、認知症解放宣言などドキッとするんですが、くすっとも笑えるこのタイトルが並びます。今までの行政福祉のイメージから脱却したゆるさみたいなものがここにあって、手に取ってみよう、読んでみよう、行ってみようと思わせるデザインであったりディレクションっていうのは、内外からのとても反響もあったこともあって、増刷に至っています。情報発信よりも、そこから、情報誌はとても成功はしているんですけれども、そこから、情報発信よりもより体感してもらえる体験も加えていきたいという思いがどんどん膨れ上がってきます。それがフェスにまで発展していくんですね。より福祉をもっと自然に多くの市民に訴えかけるっていう直接体験型のフェスを開催することになります。フェスっていうのは、やはりこのお祝い感とか非日常感の晴れ感があり、普段は目を背けたい老いとか死とかっていうことのタブーを乗り越える力がありました。それを多くの市民と医療や介護の専門職の皆さんが異国で集ってつながる機会となっていきます。 ここから動画を少し3分ほど見ていただければと思います。
異国フェス2018総集編。いわき市地域
2018年に行われた異国フェスの、一部をちょっと見ていただきたいと思うんですけれども、もう老若男女がもうわちゃわちゃわちゃわちゃ楽しんでる姿が見て取れると思います。
今回はそんな異国フェスをこの私たちと共に振り返っていきましょう。どうもー、ロクディムの渡武史です。
片寄博です。
いや、今年もすごかったですね。今年もすごかったですよ。テーマは極楽浄土。映像を見ながら振り返っていきたいと思います。こちらをどうぞ。平セントラルパークというね、もはやニューヨークなのかというような
ね、カレーからもつ煮、ビールにワインにポ
ーポー焼きもあり、
そうもうね、美味しい匂いがね、
もうね、
そう会場中にこうもう食べたかった。
食べたかったな。小池晃子さんによる空間美術、見事に演出していたよね。松田ボスさん。一つ65歳以上の方たちによる
ほっこりしちゃいましたね。
そう、エネルギーもまたあったすごかったしね。
で谷恵子
名前をくれ。で子供たち、
あくまでもこのフェスは福祉がテーマです。福祉がテーマなんですが、何もそんなことも考えずに自然と参加していくっていうことがこの街を市の中で生まれていっています。その中で自然と自分たちの今後の福祉のこととか身近な人の福祉の在り方とかっていうことを自然と考えていくっていうことがこのフェスの特徴的だと思います。
皆さん手拍子がね起きて、そのリズムに乗ってその曲を歌い切った。
いやー、楽器の演奏あり、歌あり、ダンスあり、そのカオスの中に調和があるみたいなね。
前夜祭があって、いろんなアーティストがあって、若者たちがちょっとお酒飲みながら楽しめるっていうこの振りがあっての次の日ってことですよ。公演当日でございますけども、VR のね、認知症体験、これ片橋さん体験されたんでしょう。
この VR では、認知症っていうのをここで体験しています。認知症の視点がこの VR が伝わるということですね。
身をもってやるっていうのはこれすごい。こちらもポートレート撮影会。
あとシニアのポートレートの撮影会ということもあって、このまま家になるっていうようなポートレートの撮影をしています。
なんかこうね、笑顔になるようなその関わり方がこう見れてね、そりゃいい写真になるわよね。
入館体験。
一人で行くのももちろんいいんですけどもね。
棺に入るっていう体験がとてもこのフェスでも特徴的なところなんですが、就活の一環として行われているようなこの棺の入るっていう体験なんですけれども、もう老若男女が関わっている事業です。このように高齢者はもちろん、まだ介護や老後、死を身近にない人も福祉を考える機会がこのフェスでできたというところなんですけれども、まとめになります。福祉を視覚化して拡張するというところにグラフィックデザインがどのような職能が生かされたのかというところなんですが、まずはその異国のネーミングから全体のブランディングイメージをディレクションしてアウトプットをともにチームが同じ方向に向くということを行った。あと、一人ではなく、普段の仕事のネットワークからチームを組んで、それぞれの適材適所で問題解決ということに取り組んでいった。あと、デザインの、具体的なデザインの部分で言えば、行政の緩さと塩梅を探った独特のトーンが人が手に取るきっかけになり、内外の反響がとても多くなっていきました。当初5000部の発行だったものがもう倍の1万部というところにもすぐ増刷になりましたし、やはりこの市の職員がデザインをちゃんと作るとちゃんと届くんですねという言葉も、その反響から市役所の職員も意識が変わっていったというところ、インナーブランディングにつながっていっています。以上になります。かつてソーシャルデザインという言葉がありましたが、その言葉さえも今のグラフィックデザインは 越境して自然とデザインが自然に浸透していく状況が作られていっています。まだまだ小さいながらも確実に多様化に対応した新しいデザインのあり方が小さな地域から芽吹いていっています。そんな活動をこれからも地産デザイン委員会として一デザイナーとしても見守って発信していきたいと思います。以上です。ありがとうございました。
Thank you for the great sharing. For branding, make it simple but significant. So following, we're going to invite our significant speakers come back to start our panel discussion. So ladies and gentlemen, please join me to welcome the moderator, Ms. Jennifer Tsai, and our panelists, aka our speakers, Mr. Hans Wolbers, Ms. Ashwini Deshpandet, and Ms. MASUNAGA AKIKO. Ladies and gentlemen, panel discussion.
Hello everyone, I'm Jennifer Tsai of Pro Identity at Taipei, Taiwan. Today, I'm very honored to be the introductor and host of International Trade Forum, Cross-Border Communication Design, Creativity and Brand Strategy by CPC. Let's get started. Visual communication has more and more presentation forms and multiple applications in recent years. And of course, it gets more and more challenging. Do you have any advice on these kinds of challenges? So how about Hans? You can start this question.
Hello, good morning from Amsterdam. Hi. Well, if I get the question right, it's what is the challenges for the future of visual communication, right?
Yes, exactly.
Yes. Well, I think one of the challenges and changes in the last probably decade is that design for a long time was an individual thing. People were working on their own, on a project, on a brand, whether it's within a company or even within a team. It's a small team usually. It was a small team or individual designers working on projects. But I think since the wide scope that we now have to work on, which is online, offline, three-dimensional experiences, everything, is that we need to work in larger teams with larger specialists on all those fields in order to get the brand really work in all its aspects and not only in, let's say, a graphic design arena or only 3D or only online. It's the add up of everything. And in order to do that well, we need to work in larger teams with more specialists to really make a difference, I guess.
Yes, that's the reason I think your design is so, to me it's very impressive because your design, your graphic design, I think you can overcome the language and the culture, even the nationality. It's really impressive. Thank you. So maybe this question I would like to ask it's MASUNAGA-san. Maybe you can give us your answers. Thank you.
はい。JAGDA の委員会の中でもグラフィックデザイナーの仕事の範囲の拡張ということは最も注目しているテーマです。約3000人が加盟しているので、さまざまな活動、地域の特色、多様性が日々生まれています。しかしながら、日本はデザインイコール装飾造形という意識がまだまだ大半で、デザインイコール設計という認識が少ないのが現状です。そんな中でも、企業や自治体で、造形の前にデザイナーが情報整理や意識改革、方針を示すことで、本質的な造形デザインを設計できる例も増えてきています。ユニクロは日本の企業でも有名な例です。そのためには、依頼者もデザイナーにもデザインリテラシーの向上が重要だと感じています。デザインリテラシーが向上しないと、デザインはいつまでたっても形骸的に扱われてしまい、多様性の時代、本当の意味でのデザインが活用されなくなるでしょう。 UX、UI、動画などの技術力を身につけることも一つの手段だと思います。ただ、技術だけだと価格競争になったり、結局は形骸的な扱いになりがちです。技術力と設計としてのデザインが組み合わさること、そして依頼者のデザインリテラシーを向上させることが、これからのグラフィックデザイナーにとって大事な役割になるのではないでしょうか。
Okay, thank you so much. Okay, so how about the first question? We just want to know about in India. Okay, what kinds of advice? I mean, that you will give it to us, because I think the challenge in India must be also is pretty strong, I believe, because you have a lot of projects like local and global brand. Local culture to the global brand. I think that you have many projects like this. So talk about the challenge.
Yeah, I think it's a great question, and I completely agree with Hans that we really have to move forward and get into collaborative mode, because all of us can't be doing everything in an excellent way. And India also has another complex challenge, which is we have many languages, many scripts. So every state in India has a different language and different script, and we have, I think, 17 official scripts, which are also there on the currency note of India. So the problem becomes even more complex when you're trying to get into, on one hand, we want to do a universal communication, and on the other hand, we want to also do cultural and emotional storytelling, because brands are built only through storytelling now, because everything is basically screen first. Your first exposure to any brand is through a mobile screen or any other screen, right? So it's a complex challenge, and I think the only way forward really is collaboration in terms of, you need linguists, and you need technology experts, and you of course need graphic designers, all working together for that storytelling or story building for the brand. Right, that's the way forward.
Yeah, thank you so much. Okay, so I want to ask all of you, the second question is the improvement of technology and life after the pandemic might change the whole picture of visual communication design and brand promotion. For example, people might get more attached to digital product and the internet. What kinds of a change do you expect to see in the future? And how can designer embrace this change? Thank you. So maybe also we can start from Hans.
Okay, well, maybe it's too early to say what changes will happen, because some countries are still in the middle of the pandemics yet. But one of the things that I begin to realize is that humans want to meet live. Humans are longing for live meetings, for reality again. So yes, we can solve some issues with more digital communication, but also we need new concepts for when people see each other live again. So maybe, let's say for shopping, we do many shopping things online. So maybe many shopping streets will close. But when we go to a shopping street, we want to experience new things. So I think we need to think very clearly also about when a brand should be live and when a brand should be digital. And the experience should not be the same, but should be totally different. And that when you go to a real thing, to a live thing, that should be super amazing. Because people like live. I mean, I like for this event, I would have loved to be live with all of the jury members and the students and the designers from Taipei, because you can interact much better if you are live with the team. So I think changes will come, but let's not forget the importance of live.
I totally agree with you, because I'm a woman. I'm more like the physical shopping. Yeah. Okay, we can.
はい。そうですね。日本でももちろんこのライフスタイルっていうのがコロナによってかなり変化をしてきて、ライフスタイルの変化というか多様性に どのように対応していくかっていうことが多分デザイナーにもいろいろ求められていくことだと思います。で、そうですね。あと、講演でも話をしてたんですが、共通して言えることっていうのは、やっぱりこの人と人との関係性を丁寧に紡いでいくっていうことがすごく大事になってくるんじゃないかなというふうに思っていて、コロナは人の関係をこう離してしまうようなウイルスだったんですけれども、よりそこの人との関係性っていうことが、人とのその関係性の構築がとても大事になってくるんじゃないのかなというふうに思っています。
Okay, thank you so much. So I think we want to also ask Ashwini. Yeah, can you answer the question? Thank you.
Sure. I think you made a very interesting point that it's not just, I mean, Wi-Fi has become so essential. It's like earlier we used to say food, water, shelter, and now it's not food, water, shelter alone. It's food, water, shelter, and connectivity. So if we don't have connectivity, no amount of food or water or shelter is going to actually see us through. We literally cannot live anymore without that connectivity because everything happens through that, right? So on the other hand, the brands that we used to kind of design for experience, touch, feel, walk through, hear, smell, all of that, we have kind of lost that opportunity because there's so much shopping happening online. Many of our clients have grown 5 times, the e-commerce clients in the last 1 year. And that's a reality, and that's a business which we cannot, not accept. We have to accept the fact that it's all going to happen through the screen. So earlier when we used to design a brand identity or a visual identity or a corporate identity program, we used to always be asked how would it look on a largest neon sign and how will it look on a smallest visiting card. And those parameters are not the priority anymore. Now we have to see how will it look on an app icon, what kind of pixels, what kind of colors, how will it look on a favicon of a website. And I think visiting cards are a thing of the past now. I don't think people are going to be sharing anything physical anymore when they meet each other. So the challenge really is for designers to think, what is that differentiated, lively, real experience that is going to add value to people when they enter a space? And what is it that's going to bring them to any space at all? Be it a cafe, be it a bookshop, be it a fashion retail, anything at all. Why would somebody walk into a space if they can do the exact same thing online? Which means designers really have to think creatively and stretch their imagination to be able to give them a very different experience inside a space. And that again requires technology, but not the technology that can happen through a flat screen. It's got to be much more than that, and we have to be able to give those multi-sensorial experiences of sound, of smell, of touch, and overall, the feeling of being inside a space and interacting with other real human beings, not just on a flat screen. Somewhere along the way, because of social media, people were saying that we have forgotten the art of conversation. And I think designers have to bring that back, which is be it words or be it visuals, illustrations, photography, moving images, motion graphics, all of that have to learn to converse in a very different way. And I think it's a great challenge or great times to be in for designers because more imagination, more creativity.
Okay, thank you. So thanks all of you, the brilliant idea and your contribution. I do believe the designer can make the world become more beautiful and much better in the future. Thank you to all of you.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you for all of you. Bye-bye.
Thank you and have a good day.
Thank you. Good day. Bye-bye.
Thank you for the great sharing today. Though it's almost the end of our forum, but it's the new beginning for everyone with the new information and knowledge we learned today. If you want to be interesting, be interested. And if you are interested in our video today, please do like and subscribe our YouTube channel, Facebook, and website. Find TIGDA, Taiwan International Graphic Design Award. And you're more than welcome to share this video around. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for your participation today. The International Forum of Crossing the Borders, the power of design creativity for brand strategy, is now complete. In the meanwhile, please take the reminder that the ceremony of Taiwan International Graphic Design Award 2021 is going to be held and broadcast online lively at 5 p.m. November 5th, Taiwan time. So please do remember to like our YouTube channel, find our Facebook and the website with TIGDA, Taiwan International Graphic Design Award. We will see you online soon at 5 p.m. November 5th, Taiwan time. I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.